Well, your time is running out. If you want to cast that early ballot for the November election, or taking a look at some of the items that will impact you in your neighborhood.
And hey, it's the spookiest day of the year. We have neighborhood news reporters Michaela Chavez and Adam Beam. They're sharing all the tricks to stay safe and ensure your Halloween is a treat. Good morning and happy Halloween, everyone. You are watching Chris 6 Sunrise, waking up with the Hoffmans, or should I say a handsome devil over here.
And a beautiful angel.
I'm Michelle Hoffman.
And I'm Brian Hoffman. We hope you have a fantastic Halloween, and we're going to be checking in with our meteorologist, Stephen Jones. All right, Stephen, are you going to be a devil or an angel for the forecast and for the morning commute?
Give us some good weather.
Okay. I think I have some good weather in store. Not looking like too much rain, so not going to be slowing it down out there. Looking more on the angel side, I guess I'd say, since it's going to be that good weather this morning. And taking a look at those roadways, really not so bad as we're starting off our Halloween. Not at all. Look at all the green that we're seeing across the coastal bend this morning, at least here around Corpus Christi. Taking a look at the Harbor Bridge to and from the Portland this morning, I should say. Going to be good and green if you're going to be heading that way, starting off your Halloween morning. Taking a look into Corpus Christi, not too bad either. Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report there. SPID also looking good and green. Saratoga, I should say, as well as Crosstown Expressway, all coming in good and green as you're heading out the door this morning. Not going to be any major slowdowns that way if you're going to be heading that way. As we look closer to the island now, Flower Bluff Drive, nothing too bad there at all to worry about. Waldron Road, a minor slowdown there, but nothing too bad either that's going to be slowing you down. As you look over towards the Naval Air Station, just that minor slowdown that you typically get over by there, but not too bad either. Whenever we take a look at some of those drive times as well this morning, not going to be sitting too bad. If you're going to be heading from downtown to the island around that 22-minute mark, average speed 57 miles an hour, not bad at all. Portland to downtown, 8 minutes is what that should be expecting for you. Cal Allen to downtown, average speed 64 miles an hour, and that's going to be sitting around that 14-minute mark, so not too bad at all. Good and green as you're heading out the door, starting off our Halloween morning, already the end of October. That's going to be all for your traffic report, but we'll have more news and weather heading your way.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much, sir. Folks, if you're thinking of early voting for the upcoming November election, well, you don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah, that's right. The early voting period actually ends today, and 17 proposed amendments to the Texas Constitution are on the ballot. There's also some local races, so here's a look at Nueces counties. Port Aransas residents will vote on a civic and community center that would be funded by an increase in the hotel occupancy tax.
Aransas Pass ISD residents will also vote on a proposed tax increase. A mayoral and city council race is on the ballot for Robstown. Also on the Nueces County ballot, 3 separate proposals that would annex new areas to emergency service districts 1, 3, and 4. For more information on what's on the ballot, just scan that QR code you see on your screen with your smartphone. That's going to take you to our ChrisTV.com election guide.
America's troops will receive their paychecks today. The Trump administration plans to pay military members by using a mix of legislative and Defense Department funds. It's the second time the White House has been able to avoid missing a pay period for troops during the government shutdown. Service members are considered essential federal employees and are required to work during funding lapses, but essential workers typically aren't paid during shutdowns. Roughly $2.5 billion will be tapped from the One Big Beautiful Bill's Military Housing Fund for today's paychecks.
Day 31 of the government shutdown, and neither chamber of Congress is in session, meaning that the shutdown will last into next week. President Trump overnight threw a major curveball into the shutdown showdown, calling on Republicans to get rid of the filibuster. Doing that would let GOP members pass a short-term funding bill to reopen the government with a simple 50-vote majority instead of the 60 needed. Senate leader John Thune is saying no to this proposal. Meanwhile, SNAP food assistance is set to expire on Saturday, ripping a lifeline away from low-income Americans, despite there being contingency funds that the administration is now refusing to release after deleting verbiage allowing it to do so from the USDA website. So Democrats are pushing for a standalone bill using those very contingency funds to extend those benefits to children, veterans, and anyone on the SNAP benefit list.
Back here in your neighborhood, we have continuing coverage on this week's gin fire in Gregory. On Wednesday, a cotton gin fire raced through these fields and into nearby homes. And we're learning this morning at least 2 homes were destroyed in that fire. The city is still assessing the damage, and senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens spoke with a neighbor who helped fight the fire.
It was bad. We couldn't breathe. You couldn't see. Your eyes burned. Your lungs were burning.
How does it make you feel seeing all that devastation?
It's sad. It's heartbreaking knowing that, people work real hard to have what they have, and even if they barely have anything, just to watch it, perish is a horrible thing.
Our hearts are with Gregory this morning. Now, officials are warning neighbors to stay away for safety concerns. Streets from West 4th through 8th and Avenues A and B remain closed. The community shelter will stay open through Sunday, and City Hall and Stephen F. Austin Elementary will remain closed today.
Well, so this fire has actually led to responses from neighboring cities throughout San Patricio County, too. Neighbor News reporter Adam Beam was in Sinton. That's a city that experienced devastating fires firsthand earlier on this year. It was nearly 6 months ago when 2 fires burned over 700 acres of land and destroyed 17 homes. For some residents in Sinton, this latest fire is a reminder of the loss, but also a hope for the recovery.
It was pretty much a tragedy. A lot of people lost their homes. Reach out to your community. That's about the only thing I could say. That's what happened here. A lot of people reached out and helped the people that needed the help.
Sinton Mayor Mary Spadell also posted on social media saying that, quote, the city of Sinton stands firmly alongside the city of Gregory and that they are just down the road, ready to offer help and support whenever it's needed, end quote.
Well, good Friday morning and happy Halloween there. Coastal Bend taking a live look out at Snoopy's Pier. Thanks to Matthews CCAC sitting at 56 degrees, winds out of the north-northwest about 7 miles an hour. A few more cars starting to pick up on the roadway, but really not too bad as we're kicking off the end of the month. Taking a look back at yesterday, our Thursday, not quite record-breaking in terms of daytime highs, but yes, in terms of morning lows, we did set a record at 38 degrees compared to the previous record. That was 41 back in 1917 as well as 1993. The record high, that was 91 back in 2004. We rounded out the day at 76 degrees. That wasn't too bad. Going to warm up just a little bit as we go into today, and we need plenty of rain to make up for that deficit in terms of 2025 so far. Temperatures in your neighborhood rounding out in the 40s for most of us. 43 there in George West, 45 for Beeville, 42 the cool spot there in Kingsville. A little warmer along the coast as usual. 58 there in Port Aransas, 56 over at the Naval Air Station, and then Ingleside rounding us out at about 50 degrees. Also enjoying the cool, or the dry air, I should say, in the wake of that cold front still, with dew points in the 30s for most of us. 30 there in Beeville, 32 in Orange Grove, 38 here in town, 31 off to the southwest in Hebbronville along the coast, coming in around those lower 50s, but still enjoying the nice dry air still in the wake of that cold front. In terms of daytime highs, though, going to be a little bit short-lived in terms of temperatures. Most of the 10-day average going to be above average, I should say. A slight cool down there by Sunday, but then we go right back above average into November, really peaking there by next Friday. So hopefully we avoid any of those 90s working their way back in, but you could definitely expect the upper 80s to return. The current radar nice and clear, and as we go through our Friday, plenty of clear skies on the way for the Coastal Bend and Corpus Christi. But going into tomorrow, we see a weak cold front that pushes into the area. That's going to stir up a couple of isolated to scattered showers around the Coastal Bend. Overall, in terms of widespread rain, doesn't look like great totals right now, unfortunately. Just maybe a couple winners if you're under one of those better downpours that pick up a quick, maybe quarter of an inch to a half an inch of rain. In terms of some Halloween records for you, in spirit of the day, of course, that record low was 28 degrees back in 1993. That was our earliest freeze on record as well. 95 back in 1947 was that record high, so a very widespread of temperatures that we could see around the area. But as we look at our Halloween this year, not looking too bad at around 81 degrees, holding on to those 80s most of the 7-day forecast with overnight lows in the 50s and the 60s.
Stephen, thank you so much. It's day 31 of the government shutdown, and millions of Americans will lose access to SNAP benefits if it continues. Scripps News Group Nathaniel Reed will join us with more on if this will put an end to the shutdown.
Hey, welcome back, folks. It is 6:11 on your Halloween morning. We're getting a live look from our SPID Skycam. Traffic looking pretty nice right now. We're going to be checking in on the rest of the roads, plus the weather, of course, with meteorologist Stephen Jones in just a bit. But first, we're going to head to Washington, where it is now day 31 of the government shutdown. The situation is actually growing increasingly dire by the day as millions of Americans are set to lose their benefits to critical food assistance on November 1st. That's, of course, due to the ongoing shutdown.
Yeah, a lawsuit filed by 25 states against the Trump administration to unlock a roughly $5 billion SNAP contingency fund might be the last best chance Americans relying on these benefits have to get food on the table.
Yeah, that's right. To talk more about this, we bring in the hardest working man in Washington. That's Scripps News Group's Nathaniel Reed. And good morning, Nate. Happy Halloween to you, sir. So Republican senators defended their decision to leave D.C. for a long weekend amid these mounting crises. Where does this shutdown showdown go from here?
Yeah, Brian and Michelle, it's looking far more like a trick today than a treat as the Senate has left Washington for a long weekend with no end in sight to this government shutdown, even as those SNAP benefits are expiring for tens of millions of Americans all across the country. And it's up to individual states or that lawsuit you just mentioned to make sure that Americans, when they go to swipe their EBT cards come November 1st, actually have any money in that proverbial bank to get food on the table, to pay for their families, and to make sure that they do not go hungry. A lot of questions about why the Senate did not stay in over the weekend despite that cascading crisis. Republicans in leadership defending their decision to go home for the weekend, saying they were no closer to a deal with Democrats. Take a listen.
We've been here every week. Even we've worked weeks when we were supposed to not be here. We have bent over backwards, voted 13 times to try to open the government with current funding. Staying another weekend, hoping the Democrats will come to the table, is going to be a waste of time.
And look, caught in the middle, millions of Americans, Brian and Michelle. Not only is SNAP an issue that Americans are now looking to the question of whether they'll have money to put food on the table, but also the issues we've seen with air traffic controllers across the country calling out sick because they are not being paid during this ongoing shutdown. Delay is now cascading. Lawmakers trying to leave Washington yesterday, faced with those very same delays, not able to leave Washington Reagan National Airport on time. Not only that, but now Americans who are looking for open enrollment. The Affordable Care Act, of course, that window opens on November 1st. They're going to see those higher premium prices that Democrats had been fighting for to try and extend those Affordable Care Act subsidies passed in 2021, again, to prevent the price of health care from going up. Now, none of these issues have been solved. This shutdown continues 31 days and counting, guaranteed to go 34 since Congress isn't here this weekend. They don't return until Monday afternoon. A lot of questions about whether they can reach some sort of bipartisan deal then.
Oh, well, Nate, thank you so much for taking your time today to speak to us. Hope you have a happy Halloween and a great weekend ahead.
Now, folks, just to re-emphasize, as the government shutdown continues, SNAP's benefits will be put on pause for the month of November, and there's no word yet when it will return. With that in mind, our neighborhood news reporter Stephanie Molina spoke to a local business about how this will impact them. Store manager Nishma Dahal of Sunny Market in Kingsville says they get a lot of customers who use SNAP.
Like 5 out of 1 or 2 customers, they come with the SNAP benefit. So yeah, they buy their chips, candies, sodas, so many things with the SNAP benefit. So yeah, it will definitely impact our business.
The manager doesn't know how this will affect their business long term, but says they will have to make adjustments as the time goes.
Well, good Friday morning there, Coastal Bend, taking a live look out at Snoopy's Pier thanks to Matthews CCAC. 6:15 a.m. right now, 56 degrees, northwest wind at 7 miles an hour. Not too bad compared to a couple days ago when we were around that 30-mile-an-hour mark out of the north. A couple more cars starting to pick up there on the causeway, and the water looking nice and calm this morning as well. Over the past 10 hours, a decent cool down from 62 degrees at 8 p.m. last night, 44 there by 5 a.m. We came up just a few degrees up to 47 and then back down, holding on around around those mid-40s right now here in Corpus Christi and around most of the coastal bend as well. 47 is what we're reading here in Corpus Christi, currently feeling like that 44 degree mark though, with that nice breeze out of the north around 6 miles an hour. Humidity at 71%, going to dry out as we go through the day ahead though, with those temperatures on the rise towards that 80 degree mark for the daytime high. But like I said, in your neighborhood sitting in the 40s for most of us, 42 over there in Hebronville as well as Kingsville, going to be the cool spot this morning as we're starting off our Halloween. A little warmer along the coast, 58 there in Port Aransas, 56 over at the Naval Air Station, 50 degrees in Ingleside. Taking a look at your dog walking forecast for Halloween, today we've got Murphy, Lewis, and Benny looking very ready to go for maybe their trick-or-treating as well. Of course, no chocolate though. Looking at those temperatures for the dog walking forecast this morning, looking nice and chilly for the next couple of hours in the 40s through about 9 a.m., then 57 degrees, 64 by 10 a.m., and then as we're heading out to lunch, entering those 70s once again with winds out of the northeast about 5 to 10 miles an hour. And then as we go through the rest of the day ahead, those daytime highs expected to go to about that 80 degree mark, but with a nice breeze out of the north about 5 to 10 miles an hour, even upwards of 15 miles an hour. Going to have it feeling like the mid 70s out there by peak heating, and even those trick-or-treating temperatures going to be in the 70s and feeling like the 60s. So keep that in mind as we head through our Halloween, of course. Looking at the next 10 days though, going to be a little bit above average, unfortunately. We see a weak cold front push through Saturday night. That cools us off just a little bit by Sunday, then right back above average, peaking there by the really 7th through the 9th. Then we see another cool down by the 10th of November, but unfortunately not even going to get us back to average, but still, hopefully we just avoid any of those 90s working their way back into the area. For the 7-day forecast, holding on to a lot of those 80s, just the 70s back in the area by Sunday. Overnight lows going from the 50s this weekend to the 60s as we go into November next week.
For the last 2 years, I've been keeping you updated on the Yorktown Widening Project. I'm Tony Jaramillo, and I'll tell you where it stands now. I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter on the South Side. I first told you about the Yorktown Widening Project in November of 2023. The project started last year, so what's new and what are residents saying?
I'm excited about when it will be completed. That excites me, but right now it's a lot of traffic, a lot of pain.
The $25.5 million project will upgrade Yorktown to 4 brand new lanes, new sidewalks, gutters, traffic signals, drainage, and more. It's expected to be completed by August of 2027. Director of Engineering Services Jeff Edmonds tells me the project hasn't been met without challenges, since this project involved a rural conversion to a 4-lane road. They've also had to constantly repair potholes and other issues on the temporary road the city built to keep traffic flowing. Edmonds says it cost the budget to go over $500,000 to $750,000. City officials tell me the project could finish earlier than the August 2027 timeline. On the South Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Well, good Friday morning, taking a live look at our USS Lexington camp. Thanks to First Community Bank, you can see the harbor bridges in view, starting to change that view as well, with the old harbor bridge slowly coming down. The new harbor bridge starting to see a few more cars on it out there, but really not too bad, with traffic flowing nice and smoothly along it, it looks like, with not too much rain out there either to slow you down this morning. Let's get an in-depth look here at the roadways now. The harbor bridge, at least to and from Portland this morning, going to be good and green if you're going to be heading that way this morning. Over into Corpus Christi now, Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report there, as well as SPID, Saratoga, and Crosstown Expressway, all 3 coming in good and green this morning as you're heading out the door. Looking over a little bit closer to the island, over towards Flower Bluff. Flower Bluff Drive, no major slowdowns to report. A minor one to report there on Waldron Road, just to be mindful of, but shouldn't slow you down too bad at least. Over by the Naval Air Station, not too bad on that slowdown either, as we're going into the 6:30 a.m. hour now, I should say, as we're getting closer to it. Some of those drive times for you this morning, sitting at 22 minutes from downtown to the island. Portland to downtown, 8 minutes. Cal Allen to downtown, sitting around that 15-minute mark. So wherever you're coming from and wherever you're going to this morning, going to be good and green to head out the door, kick off your Halloween morning. Of course, we'll have more news and weather heading your way.
Halloween is a time for tricks and treats. I'm Michaela Chavez with the warning for parents when it comes to checking your kids' candy.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Well, good Friday morning and happy Halloween there, Coastal Bend, taking a live look out at Snoopy's Skycam, brought to us by Matthews CCAC, sitting at 46 degrees here in downtown Corpus Christi, taking a look at the causeway there on the Skycam. Not too many cars on it right now, and as we look at the water, nice and calm as well as we're looking out there. Getting a good look at the weather though, the temperatures haven't been too bad as we've gone over the past 10 hours, not at all. Getting a good cool down from 62 degrees at 8 p.m. last night, entering those 40s this morning, 44 degrees there at 5 a.m. and we've been holding on to those mid to lower 40s around most of the Coastal Bend as we've been going through about this 5 to 6 a.m. time frame. Looking around there, currently 46 degrees there in Mathis, 44 over in San Diego, 42 in Hebbronville, going to be the cool spot this morning, 58 in Port Aransas going to be the warm spot, so 16 degrees of spread from east to west across the Coastal Bend. Not too bad as we're looking at the temperatures out there and enjoying plenty of dry air still in the wake of that cold front we saw back on Tuesday. Dealing with dew points in the 30s, the 40s, and even the 50s along the coast, but the 50s not too bad at all compared to those 70s and even upwards of that 80-degree mark that we were at a couple weeks ago, or even just last week, I should say. For today's dog walking forecast, for our Halloween dog walking forecast, I should say, we've got Murphy, Lewis, and Betty looking perfectly ready for Halloween and to go maybe trick-or-treating as well and join in on the fun. That temperatures for the dog walking forecast this morning looking just a little bit chilly by 8 a.m. at 48 degrees, 64 by 10 a.m. and as we go towards that lunch hour, going to be in those 70s with winds out of the northeast about 5 to 10 miles an hour, so not too bad at all as we're going through our Halloween day. Feels like temperatures not too bad either. During peak heating should be in air temperatures around that 80-degree mark, but only feeling like the mid-70s thanks to that nice northerly breeze about 5 to 10 miles an hour. As we go into the overnight hours, going to start feeling like the 60s for that trick-or-treating time frame, then into the 50s as we go into those overnight hours by about 4 a.m. So not too bad at all. But as we go through the forecast next 10 days, going to be a little bit above average is what the forecast is telling us. We're going to go below average for about Sunday with a weak cold front that works in, then right back above average as we especially go towards next week into Friday and then Saturday and Sunday of next week. Then we see another week cool down, but hopefully we see some more cold fronts work their way in and get us back below average, see some more 70s, maybe even 60s hopefully work their way into the area as we go into November. For the current Doppler radar, nice and clear out there over the past 3 hours, and as we go into the future tracker, most of our Friday also going to be nice and clear out there with plenty of blue skies, plenty of sunshine, and that dry air still in place, but with southeasterly flow taking a return later tonight, then we're going to see some more moisture build in, and with that weak cold front that works in tomorrow, you can see we had some of that isolated to scattered shower development take place tomorrow night, maybe that 8, 9, 10 p.m. time frame. That's really what we're forecasting right now, but overall it's going to be very isolated and scattered. Widespread rain totals probably going to be pretty minimal, just a couple of bigger winners that get under those better downpours that set up. In terms of the next 6 to 10 days, rainfall not looking the best for the Lone Star State, with likely drier conditions to persist for us here in Texas, as well as, yes, into the Coastal Bend as well, going to be pretty dry. And with all this dry air in place, still dealing with forecast fire danger in that moderate to high category today. Into tomorrow, still holding on to moderate, and even into our Sunday, I should say, as well, in that moderate category. So still pretty dry out there. That only rain chance on the board right now going to lie with that weak cold front that works in Saturday night, but still temperature-wise, slightly above average as we go into the week ahead. Gets a little bit more above average as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, with overnight lows holding on to the 50s and then the 60s by next week.
Get ready for all the thrills and fun this Halloween and beyond.
That's right. We've got a list of things to do on this week's Coastal Bend weekend right after this.
Now, the local events and fun things to do. It's Coastal Bend Weekend with the Hoffmans.
All right, let's face it, there's never anything to do here in Corpus Christi.
Hey, no. You know that's not true. There are plenty of Halloween festivities and even some less frightful fun if you'd rather keep your weekend calm and heavenly.
Okay, let's see what you got, but I'm not promising I won't stir up a little diabolical trouble.
Plenty of restaurants and bars are brewing up spooky specials and Halloween parties tonight. Just make sure you check in with your favorite one and support local. And make sure you check out our full list of all the pumpkin patches and trunk or treats happening in your neighborhood by going to our website.
But once tonight is over, Halloween technically ends because Saturday marks the beginning of November.
But hey, that's why we should be extra thankful, because all kinds of festivities continue all throughout the weekend. A big one one, the 18th annual Dia de los Muertos Festival is taking over downtown from 3 p.m. to midnight Saturday.
It's culturally important. I mean, it's such a big holiday in Mexico that they take off work, schools are closed and everything. And it's also a time where we remember, celebrate, and honor our deceased loved ones.
For the Day of the Dead celebration, you can expect music, dancing, and the colorful sights of ofrendas, traditional altars honoring the deceased.
I'm looking forward to all the haunted happenings that will be taking place around the same time, same place. The official Corpus Christi Halloween bar crawl is bringing some scary good deals downtown for all you ghouls 21 and older, that is. Check-in is at the Artisan from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. All the ticket info and a map is available on our website.
For the kiddos coming down from their candy rush, the Art Center of Corpus Christi is hosting its weekly free family art time on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Kids can create their own spooky portraits, maybe one featuring this handsome devil.
But if you're looking to celebrate the season with no jump scares, you can head to the Briscoe King Pavilion Saturday from noon to 5 p.m.
Friends of Padre is hosting a fall fiesta that will include a day of educational family fun with music, local vendors, and food trucks.
And here's your good deed of the week. In the Game Fun Trackers is hoping to trade candy for canned goods with its donation drive starting on Sunday. The goal is to help local families in need, so if you bring non-perishables to donate, you'll get a free 30-minute gameplay pass.
Okay, that's a reward system I can get behind. You can find a full list of recommended donations on our website.
And you know, there's even more hot events happening in your neighborhood. So head on over to christv.com for that full lineup.
And of course, folks, if you want to see your event featured in the future, make sure you send us a message and we'll be sure to spread the good word.
And maybe a little mischief. All right, folks. So Southside family is taking Halloween to a new level, turning their front yard into a spooky stop that's become a South Texas favorite. It's called Hell's Hollow Cemetery, a community Halloween display that's been a family tradition in the Coastal Bend since 2012. The cemetery consists of photo opportunities and props, and some even made handmade by the Lopez family. This year, the setup has expanded into their neighbor's yard, bringing in even more ghouls, ghosts, and visitors from all over. Neighbor News reporter Ana Canejo speaks to the family that is looking forward to the big Halloween night for the free attraction to come to life.
I love watching the people enjoy what we've created. You know, that's the best thing out of it.
And the Lopez family says neighbors can expect live actors, candy, and plenty of scares once the sun goes down on Friday night. The house is located at Santa Sofia Street in Corpus Christi. Can't miss it.
Well, good Friday morning and happy Halloween there, Coastal Bend. Taking a live look out at the USS Lexington cam brought to us by First Community Bank. Sitting at 47 degrees, winds out of the north, 6 miles an hour. The aquarium nice and lit up, putting on a show, and a few more cars starting to show up there on the roadway, and not looking too bad as we start off our Halloween. Not looking too bad to maybe check out some of those haunted houses and take part in some of those activities as well. Looking at this morning, a little bit chilly still out there as well, in the 40s for most of us. 46 in Mathis, 48 there in Robstown, 40 over in Kingsville, the cool spot. 58 in Port Aransas. It's going to be that warm spot. A good 18 degrees of spread from east to west across the Coastal Bend. So, like I said, just not too bad as we're starting off our Halloween. Just a little bit chillier than many of them. Looking at that daytime high, expecting around 80 to 81 here in Corpus Christi. Feeling like those mid-70s thanks to that nice breeze out of the northeast, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. But as we go into tonight, starts to turn out of the southeast, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Of course, not looking too bad though. I'll go over that full 7-day forecast though, coming up in just a bit.
Now, 20 minutes of non-stop news, sponsored by Ewald Kubota.
Well, hey there. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us for our 20 minutes of non-stop news with your favorite handsome devil and beautiful angel, the Hoffmans. I'm Brian Hoffman.
And I'm Michelle Hoffman. Of course, folks, we have plenty of neighborhood news for you this morning. But first, we got to check in with meteorologist Stephen Jones to see how everything's shaping up this Halloween morning. Good morning, Stephen.
Buddy. Well, good morning. You guys are looking fantastic for this season. I mean, I'm dressed up, you know, as the local meteorologist. I think it's still
Weatherman. Mountain.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. But not looking too bad. Still a little bit chilly, right, Michelle? Just a little bit this morning. 40s is still a little bit too cold, I'd say, for that cold weather. As we're looking at our SPID cam, a couple more cars starting to pick up on the roadway out there as we're getting closer to 7 a.m. now, but still traffic-wise not looking too bad. No major slowdowns there on our SPID cam. And as we get a good look around most of Corpus Christi, looking good and green. Let's take an in-depth look now here at the Harbor Bridge to and from Portland this morning. Going to be good and green if you're heading that way. As we work our way into Corpus Christi, not too bad either. Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report there, as well as SPID, Saratoga, Crosstown Expressway, all three coming in the clear right now as we're heading towards that 7 a.m. hour. Closer to the island, over towards Flower Bluff Drive, looking good and green for the most part. Minor slowdown there you do want to be mindful of that has just started up. Waldron Road, also a minor slowdown that we've been seeing a little bit now. Want to be mindful of that, as well as the normal one that you see closer to the gates there at the Naval Air Station. Those drive times for you sit in good and green, 22 minutes from downtown to the island. Everywhere you're going to, wherever you're coming from, good and green to head out the door and start off your Halloween morning as we finish off October.
I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens. Smoke still hangs in the air here in Gregory, and behind me you can see a home that is burned to the ground. The fire that started in the cotton gin may be mostly contained, but firefighters are concerned that hotspots could flare back up.
It was bad. We couldn't breathe. You couldn't see. Your eyes burned. Your lungs were burning.
Kevin Hendricks helped fight the fire Wednesday. He drove us to the field behind the Gregory cotton gin where it all started. A small spark that erupted into a firestorm, consuming cotton, fields, and homes. How does it make you feel seeing all that devastation?
It's sad. It's heartbreaking knowing that, people work real hard to have what they have, and even if they barely have anything, just to watch it, perish is a horrible thing.
Crews are still counting the damage, but we saw at least 2 homes reduced to ashes. From above, planes painted the fields in pink fire retardant, a last line of defense that kept the fire from spreading farther. But the smell of smoke still clings to what's left standing.
Probably wash everything inside the house.
How bad is it?
It stinks. It stinks bad.
So it's not livable.
No, I was considered condemned as far as now until, you get a contractor to come out here and clean.
Fire crews remain on scene to watch for flare-ups while the state fire marshal investigates the cause. Residents are being asked to stay away for safety.
Because there are a lot of personnel out there for fire response and electrical response, they're encouraged to stay out of the area with all of the smoke, especially if they have respiratory issues.
The community shelter will remain open through Sunday. Power is expected to be restored Thursday afternoon, but several streets remain closed, including West 4th through 8th and Avenues A and B. While the fire is mostly out, folks here say they'll be smelling smoke for days and watching those cotton bales until every ember is out. In Gregory, I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens, Chris 6 News.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. We appreciate you keeping up to date on that one. We're going to check in with meteorologist Stephen Jones in just a bit. But first, folks, we have a lot of neighborhood news to get to this morning.
Yeah, from the Harbor Bridge main span finally coming down to progress on a road widening project on the south side. We have you covered in your neighborhood check-in.
After days of patiently waiting, the center span of the Old Harbor Bridge has finally come down.
Since Monday, dozens of families line the perimeter of the Corpus Christi Water Gardens to see the full bridge in its last moments. But windy conditions caused neighbors to wait several days. On Thursday, the day came where crews began lowering the center span of the massive steel structure. It's a carefully planned operation, marking the biggest step yet in the bridge's demolition. Neighbors tell Chris 6 News seeing the center span lowered is bittersweet. TxDOT tells Chris 6 News the barge and center span of the Old Harbor Bridge will travel to a dock at the port's inner harbor. No word yet on when the entire bridge will be completely gone.
As the government shutdown continues, SNAP benefits are still at a halt. For Sunny Market store manager Nishma Dahal, she says they get a lot of customers who use their benefits. According to the Texas Health and Human Services Commission, more than 5,600 people were eligible for SNAP benefits in Claiborne County in September. The average payment was $342. Total SNAP payments were $915,896. Those numbers had me wonder, how will this affect our economy? I spoke with Texas A&M Kingsville finance professor Thomas Krieger. He says for every dollar that comes into the community for a SNAP benefit, it turns into $1.50 in economic value. According to the Texas Tribune, about 12% of grocery sales are those who rely on SNAP to buy groceries for themselves and their families. And with the holidays approaching, he expects people to be more cautious of their spending. As for Dahal, she says they're waiting to see what happens.
I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter on the South Side. I first told you about the Yorktown Widening Project in November of 2023. The project started last year, so what's new and what are residents saying?
I'm excited about when it will be completed. That excites me, but right now it's a lot of traffic, a lot of pain.
The $25.5 million project will upgrade Yorktown to 4 brand new lanes, new sidewalks, gutters, traffic signals, drainage, and more. It's expected to be completed by August of 2027. Director of Engineering Services Jeff Edmonds tells me the project hasn't been met without challenges, since this project involved a rural conversion to a 4-lane road. They've also had to constantly repair potholes and other issues on the temporary road the city built to keep traffic flowing. Edmonds says it cost the budget to go over $500,000 to $750,000. City officials tell me the project could finish earlier than the August 2027 timeline. On the South Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Before you tear into that Halloween candy, wait. I'm Michaela Chavez, your Sunrise neighborhood news reporter downtown, with the warning for parents and kids this Halloween. No matter what your favorite candy is,
Snickers, Three Musketeers, Skittles, lollipops.
Police say check every piece before you eat. After a case in Michigan where candy was found laced with THC, CCPD is reminding families to take just a few minutes to look at what's in the bag.
Well, it's just the word that's been around. You know, there's interesting people trying to do questionable things.
Officers say if a candy looks opened, tampered with, or isn't in its original wrapper, just throw it away. And the same goes for homemade treats.
Well, good Friday morning and happy Halloween there. Coastal Bend taking a live look out at Snoopy's Pier thanks to Matthews CCAC. Starting to see a couple boaters on the water sitting at 56 degrees over there at Snoopy's, 46 here in downtown Corpus Christi, and a few more cars starting to pick up there on the causeway as well. Other than that, the water not looking too bad as we start off our Halloween morning. Taking a look back at yesterday, 76 degrees for that daytime high, well short of the record at 91, but we did set a new record low yesterday morning, coming in at 38 degrees over at Corpus Christi International Airport. That beat the record out of 41. That was set back in 1917 as well as 1993. And of course, we know we need plenty of rainfall to make up for the deficit so far that we've seen throughout 2025. Those temperatures in your neighborhood rounding out in the 40s for most of us, those 50s along the coast, 56 there at the Naval Air Station, 57 in Port Aransas, 42 over there in Hebronville, 47 here in town, 44 off to the north, rounding us out in Beeville is where we're seeing across the coastal bend, I should say. In terms of those winds, pretty light as well, especially compared to what we saw a couple days ago around that 30-mile-an-hour mark. Now down more around the 5 to 10 miles an hour mark, even closer to calm as you work your way inland there towards San Diego, only reading about 2 miles an hour here in town, coming in around 6 miles an hour out of the north. Port Aransas, northwesterly flow about 9 miles an hour. For that dog walking forecast for your Halloween today, we've got Murphy, Lewis, and Benny here looking properly dressed, of course, and ready to go for their trick-or-treating forecast as well. Looking at those temperatures throughout this morning, just a little bit chilly at first at 48 degrees at 8 a.m., 57 by 9 a.m., quickly warming up through towards that lunch hour, coming in around 73 degrees by noon, and those winds out of the northeast this morning as well, a good 5 to 10 miles an hour. In terms of our hour-by-hour forecast going into the afternoon, starting to see those winds shift, getting more easterly component into the afternoon, even turning to the southeast as we go into the overnight hours, I should say. Those daytime highs expected around 80 degrees, potentially the upper 70s in parts of the coastal bend with those winds, like I said, only 5 to 10 miles an hour, but getting that more southeasterly component tonight, indicating more moisture on the way as we go into our Saturday. For the current Doppler radar, nice and clear out there, and that's going to be the story that we see into the future tracker throughout our Friday. But as we go into our Saturday with that increasing moisture and a weak cold front on the way, we see some isolated to scattered activity get stirred up around the coastal bend as we go into 7, 8, 9 p.m. tomorrow night, maybe even upwards of that midnight hour. But overall, widespread rain totals still going to be very minimal as we go into tomorrow. Taking a look at that trick-or-treat forecast for you tonight, going to be expecting those clear skies across the coastal bend with those temperatures in the 70s, but going to be feeling like the 60s thanks to those winds of 5 to 10 miles an hour, providing just a slight wind chill, but really not too bad compared to those Halloweens that we've seen where they were in the 90s. In terms of the 7-day forecast, we see that weak cold front work in. That's the best rain chance Saturday night into Sunday. Also cools us off into the 70s, then right back into the 80s by next week with overnight lows in the 50s and then into the 60s as we go into next week.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
Today marks day 31 of the government shutdown. On Thursday, senators left with no progress in sight towards a deal to reopen the government. Their departure comes as funding for SNAP benefits are set to expire on Saturday, despite there being contingency funds. Millions of Americans are at risk of losing critical food aid. The senators are expected to return to the Capitol on Monday.
America's troops will receive their paychecks today. The Trump administration plans to pay military members by using a mix of legislative and defensive department funds. It's the second time the White House has been able to avoid missing a pay period for troops during the government shutdown. Service members are considered essential federal employees and are required to work during funding lapses, but essential workers typically aren't paid during shutdowns. Roughly $2.5 billion will be tapped from the One Big Beautiful Bill's Military Housing Fund for today's paychecks.
If you're thinking of early voting for the upcoming election, you don't have much time left. The early voting period ends today. Early voting began on October 20th here in Nueces County. Just over 6,000 people have taken part in early voting. That's about 3% of the registered voters here in Nueces County.
The Yorktown widening project is nearly 50% complete. That's according to city officials. The $25.5 million project is upgrading Yorktown between Rodfield and the Mud Bridge to 4 brand new lanes, 2 in each direction, with new sidewalks, gutters, traffic signals, drainage, and more. It's on schedule to be complete by August 2027 or maybe even sooner.
After days of delay, the center span of the Harbor Bridge has finally come down. Since Monday, dozens of families line the perimeter of the Corpus Christi Water Gardens to see the full bridge in its last moments. But windy conditions caused neighbors to wait several days. TxDOT tells Chris 6 News that the barge in the center span of the Old Harbor Bridge will no longer be taken to a dock between Portland and Ingleside. It will now travel to the port's inner harbor. No word yet on when the entire bridge will be completely gone.
So do you know how many sex offenders live in your neighborhood? It's probably a good idea if your kids will be out trick-or-treating tonight. There are several websites where you can go and look to see if there's a sex offender that lives on your street, your neighborhood, or your block. One of them is SOR.DPS.org, which is the Texas Sex Offender Registry. You can type in an address to see if there are any sex offenders in your area, and you can also see their name, offenses, the date that it happened, and also several pictures of them over the years. To learn more, head to our website.
All right, folks, someone could win a devilish amount of money this Halloween without any tricks or treats, because today the Mega Millions jackpot is worth $754 million. That's the largest amount the lottery has ever been on Halloween Eve. And it could be all yours for the taking if you correctly pick all six numbers, I should say. The one-time payment of just under $353 million could also be chosen instead. Mega Millions has previously held 6 drawings on Halloween, but has never had a winner on those days. But if you do win, don't forget your favorite Sunrise anchors, right?
I was going to say it would be pretty on brand for me right now to say if you win, make sure you give to charity.
Or you can make sure to keep it all yourself. No, give some to charity. Yeah. Well, hey, will we have a devilishly good time trick-or-treating, or will it be an angelic one?
I think it's going to be a little more angelic, it's looking like today. Maybe feeling devilish, but definitely acting more angelic as we go into tonight. Just looking great to get out there. I mean, a little chilly this morning, but then as we go into today, expecting those 70s, can't ask for much better to end off October here in South Texas. Much better than the 90s and all that humidity we were seeing. Maybe just, like I said, a little bit chilly. Definitely jacket worthy this morning. Looking live at Snoopy's Pier, thanks to Matthews CCAC, sitting at 56 degrees. A couple more boaters on the water, but not too bad as we kick off our Halloween. Those feels like temperatures into this afternoon going to get into those mid 70s. not too bad at all. Daytime high is going to be around the 80-degree mark, just feeling a slight wind chill as we go out there 2 to 4 p.m. Then that trick-or-treating time frame getting a little bit cooler out there and going into the 50s as we go into the overnight hours. Taking a quick look at your future tracker, you can see clear skies on the board as we go through our Friday. As we go into tomorrow, that's where we see a little bit more moisture on the way, and that's where we could see a couple of isolated scattered showers picking up in activity as we go into tomorrow night, but really not going to be too bad. Looking at that 7-day forecast for you, you can see where we're going to have that weak cold front push in by tomorrow night. That gives us a weak rain chance, I should say, and then cools us off back into the 70s. And as we look at next week, not looking too bad at all as we go back into the 80s, even going into next week around 86 to 87 degrees Wednesday to Thursday. Overnight lows from the 50s going upwards of the 60s as we go into next week. A little bit above average by Wednesday to Thursday, but not too bad as we're looking at our Halloween. 81 degrees. Not too much to complain about, I think.
That is awesome, Stephen. And hey, folks, make sure that you go out and you have a devilish good time. Mix in some mayhem, shall we?
But no. Make good choices out there. Be safe, you guys.
He's like, we gotta decide who to listen to.
All right, go have some fun. Don't forget the candy, folks. And you know, kiddos, you may want to eat it all in one night. Might not be the best option, though. Spread it out. Let it last a couple months, right?
Definitely spread it out, I think, is the best option, because if you go through it too quick, then you're going to get that sugar crash as well. It's going to be, that'd be a rough time, I think.
Okay, so what's your costume plan, though, for tonight?
I'm thinking, this year I think I'm going vampire.
Nice. I can see that.
Are y'all sticking with the angel?
I think so. I think for this year. Yeah, well, like we said, we have a whole closet filled with costumes.
But FYI, Brian actually made his mask. He even made the pitchfork, everything. For me, Amazon.
Love me my 3D printer.
Really? That's all 3D printed?
Yes, sir.
That is actually pretty cool. I haven't had any experience with 3D printing, but that is really cool that you can do that. And it's working into costumes now, too. I didn't even really think about that.
I'm printing a full Mandalorian costume for myself and Bo-Katan for her. So that'll be for next Halloween. But for now, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic Halloween ahead and a fun weekend, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, guys, have a good one. Happy Halloween once again. Be safe.